We are Maria
and Nicole. We're two secular homeschooling moms that have
been there, done that.
Whether your student is beginning on a new adventure out of town or state, or staying at home while attending a local university, transitioning to college marks a pivotal moment in their lives. And it's a transition just brimming with excitement, nerves, and a profound sense of independence. For many, it's the first taste of true autonomy, a leap into the unknown where dorm rooms replace childhood bedrooms and newfound freedom dances with homesickness.
That's true. As parents, we share in this emotional roller coaster. We feel the thrill of watching our children embrace their newfound freedom, but also that bittersweet pang of seeing them leave the nest.
So sad.
It is. This journey is as much about our own growth as it is theirs. We've spent years guiding them and teaching them and nurturing them, and now we get to see them step into the world with confidence. And this isn't just an academic milestone. It's a beautiful and sometimes challenging adventure into adulthood. Let's celebrate this moment together, cherishing every new experience and triumph as they shape the remarkable adults our children are becoming. This is what we've been training for, after all, from forging their own academic paths to adjusting to the traditional classroom settings. Join us on this episode as we share insights and tips and heartfelt advice to help make the transition from homeschooling to college as smooth and successful as possible.
And as usual, we want to stress that our podcast is an inclusive space for your everyday parents that are looking for education options. We are not here to convince you to homeschool. We want to stress that you need to do what works for your child and for your family.
Every family's different.
Absolutely. And you know your children best. So feel free to take what advice or information you get from here that works for you and chuck the rest.
Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Maria. How are you doing? It's been a while.
Can you hear it in my voice? Everybody's been sick. I lost my voice for 4 entire days. Like, I couldn't speak at all. Oh, my God.
Now it's kind of mellow. You sound like Stevie Nicks.
Oh, or Demi Moore.
Yeah.
With that sexy voice.
Exactly. Oh, my gosh. I know. It's been a season, y'all. Like, I don't even remember the last episode we did.
It's crazy. Well, your daughter was very ill.
I know. I think our last episode we talked about they were going to prom. Well, they all got like a plague. Yeah. And Jillian, 3 weeks. Like,
it was bad.
Urgent cares, like pneumonia, like nuts.
And then I got sick. Yeah. And then I lost my voice. And then the Texas storms basically just pummeled our area. And
y'all, we lost power you lost it for a lot of days. I lost it for a few days.
Yeah. And also these 100-year-old oak trees were literally completely uprooted and landed on houses. It was nuts.
Yeah. And anyway. it was totally bizarre. Like I woke up to the alarms going off that morning.
Yeah.
And then the thunder started, and within a minute of the storm my power was out.
Yeah, it was insane.
So crazy.
Well, I'm glad to be back. I've missed you. I can't believe we haven't seen each other because usually we'll socialize too outside of our podcast,
but at least we'll walk every week and
it's been insane. So I'm so glad to be back and getting back into the groove. The semester's over. Summer school's starting.
Yeah, is Cam taking summer classes?
He is only taking one, and it's a really cool thing. It's actually the jazz ensemble at the college.
Oh, how fun.
Where he does dual enrollment. And so I asked him, so how was this? I was so excited about it because he's already met the professor. And he says, well, I'm the youngest one there. And I'm like, well, of course, you're a dual credit student at the college. Of course you are. I'm like, but how old are the other guys? He goes, Joe Biden's age. And I said, well, are you enjoying it? Do you hate being around all these older guys? He goes, no, I love it.
Oh, I'm sure he does. What a great experience. Oh my gosh. Jillian's she did a Maymester class and that one's done. And she did like Texas government for that. And now she's doing federal government for the month of June.
Nice.
and then she'll be done for the summer.
That's a nice lead into the election year. Not that I'm not getting into politics. I brought
Yeah.
up Joe Biden and the election, but I'm not going to touch politics. But
Yeah.
it is a good class to take to
Right.
understand the system.
Well, and she's big in youth and government, and so I was like, these are going to be like super easy classes for you. And the Texas government one was fun. It actually like was way more about policy. She wrote the professor a thank you note about like, thanks for making this class like fun and discussing policy and not just like, here's the branches of government, blah
Yeah.
blah
Oh,
blah.
yeah. Cameron just took Texas government this last semester, and he loved his professor. Maybe it's the same one.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jillian's really liked it. Actually, we were talking about how we really liked, like, we've had some really, really great professors.
Yeah.
At
Oh,
the
the college.
college.
Well, and you know what? And I hope this isn't all universities. I know it's not, but Riley at the University of North Texas has been really kind of disappointed compared to the local community college
wow, wow.
professors because they're ultra involved
Mm-hmm.
at the community college level, and they open up their door. They open their office hours, and sometimes some of these classes at the university are so large and it's kind of impersonal.
Yeah, you're just a number.
Yeah, and
right?
she felt that hard. So, I mean, maybe that's something to think about for you guys. Like when your students are visiting and touring colleges, maybe it's a good idea to look at a smaller school if that's a fit for them.
Yeah. Jillian's found it interesting too that so many of her favorite professors got their start there. And like they went off and did other things and then they ended up coming back and teaching at Dallas College. So, I mean, that probably
didn't know
says
that.
a lot for
Yeah.
their programming that the teachers
Oh, it's
like
phenomenal.
believe in it and want to come back and be part of it. So,
Yeah, such a great the dual credit admissions office.
Oh my God.
We do love our Jana. Jana is our contact, and she does a great job. But
she's
they're-
okay.
they're-
She's no Lisa.
she's no Lisa. The red tape that you have to go through now is just incredible.
And it's so stupid, you guys. We homeschool sometimes because we just don't like rules. And like I think having to provide a notarized transcript is so dumb.
I know. I just made it in Word, and you want me to go notarize it to say that I
Right.
am who I am?
Yeah, like what am I actually having the notary
so
sign?
dumb.
Like it's so dumb. But yeah, there's a lot of red tape. It used to be really easy. We had this lady Lisa, and she was so awesome, and like she did everything, and then they've replaced it with all these policies.
Rules and rules and rules. Yeah, we just shoot Lisa an email and say, okay, I want to drop this class and add this one. Classes start in 2 days. She's like, sure, no problem. And this one you have to start like 6 months ahead of time
Yeah.
to do anything.
And they make you start over everything. Like, remember, like
Everything.
I registered for summer and then I was like, oh, am I supposed to do fall right now? And she's like, actually, you have to start over again at the beginning.
like
It's like with like a new person
Everything.
and a new everything. I was
So
like,
dumb.
seriously, this is so dumb. But
Well, I'm glad that I have my last child is a senior, an up and coming senior.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
this is our last semester to do this. So I'm glad all the red tape didn't happen till now because
Right.
if I was just starting this process, it's a full-time job sometimes to get through all this paperwork.
oh my gosh, it is. Well, and when Jillian was telling me about how great some of her professors are, this year and last year, I was like, well, you know what? You're welcome. Because I use Rate My Professors and I go through and I thoroughly research this before I sign you up for all the classes. So,
Okay, I don't think that this is in this episode, but it probably should be, is that ratemyprofessor.com is
Yes.
an invaluable resource whenever you're looking at dual enrollment at your local college or your child is at the university level and
Yeah.
ready to register, because you will not regret it. One time I did not listen to the reviews and it was not a good experience.
yeah, and I make Jillian go in and fill out reviews too because it's only as helpful as it is that you use it,
Right.
Like, but yeah, they'll rate a professor on a scale of 1 to 5. They'll include things like, hey, like some of the ones will say this class is literally 4 papers, 7 quizzes and 2 tests,
Right.
and it's an easy A or it's not, or this professor is really difficult. This professor is hard to get a hold of and attend office hours with. So it gives all kinds of information that is
Right.
really, really helpful.
Real helpful for how your student operates too. There's some classes and some reviews that say that the professor doesn't grade anything until like the day of finals.
Oh, yeah,
So
and
you
that's
don't
hard.
even know where you stand going into a final.
Yeah, and if you have a kid that gets stressed out by that, like, yeah,
I get stressed
avoid
out
that.
by that.
I do too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rate My Professor is just awesome. Use it to pick your classes, and it's been a great thing for us to use.
It really has.
So speaking, I mean, we're talking about dual credit, but we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of college, going off to college, or even if you're staying home and going to college. Whew. I found that transition really, really hard, You remember.
I do.
I started crying like a full year before my oldest went to college. And
You did.
I don't know what it was. Like, I feel like watching some of like our little playgroup friends like go off, it just hit me hard. And remember like one time I ran into like Amy at a play, like after her son had gone away to college. And I was like, how are you doing? And then I started to cry and she had to comfort me. Like, I hadn't even had a kid leave yet. I was a mess. And, it wasn't so bad for my firstborn, though he was a 2020 graduate. And so COVID had like altered that landscape a lot. So there were a lot of unknowns as schools were trying to figure out how to come back. Like, I remember we were in July and like not even sure if like classes were going to be in person in September.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I definitely felt the impact of it all. I've been homeschooling, well, both of us have from the very beginning. So this was a huge accomplishment for both of us, for both me and my daughter, who I've since graduated. She was excited to spread her wings, and as a single mom, so many people told me from the very beginning that I couldn't do this. And boy, did it feel empowering to prove them wrong. It really did. I have my baby and my last one graduating next year, and that's going to be an entirely new category of emotions for me. I know it will be. I'm going to be a retired homeschooler.
Oh my goodness, what's that like?
No. But getting back to my daughter, so how do you say, well, she was fully cooked by the time she was a junior. She was ready to move out, and that last year was a bit brutal. It really was. She was ready to fly, but she still had a whole year of school left. So, in a way, it was kind of a relief for both of us when she graduated. And I know everybody's experience is not going to be this, but we both needed a breather from each other, and that might be you. And our relationship, that was always very close, was a little strained that last year. And I'm glad to say that it's fully recovered, and we truly enjoy each other's company. And we're both so excited when we get to spend time together. I can't wait to take her and her girlfriend out to lunch this weekend and just
Fun.
hang out.
Yeah, and I remember reading an article probably on like a Grown and Flown page or something about how sometimes in the summer or senior year too, it can begin at the beginning. Senior year in that summer, that sometimes the kids kind of act up and they call it soiling the nest.
Oh, yeah, she's soiled.
Soiling the nest. It's their kind of way of wanting to get out and you kind of wanting them to get out.
Right. And
kind of like nesting when you're pregnant and having a baby, but the reverse.
yeah, some kids are really fearful of leaving the nest, and they kind of cower and like stay close to home, and others do not. And whatever is happening with your child, it's all normal. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get though, so
Yeah, you
be
don't. You
prepared.
just have to be prepared. So in today's episode, we are going to explore this journey of homeschool students as they navigate the transition from the comforts of home to the bustling halls of college. And we're just going to dive into these unique experiences, challenges, and some of the triumphs faced by students as they make this leap into higher education.
And also, if you're interested in learning more about homeschool high school and college prep, we have an entire high school series that outlines everything that you need to know, from creating your 4-year plan to college entrance exams and more. So if you haven't checked them out, we'll link them here in the show notes. And moving from homeschooling to college is a really big step, but with a little preparation and support, it can be an exciting and also rewarding journey. So we're going to start with 7 key tips to help with this transition. So the first thing is that you really want to familiarize the college expectations. So you want to help your child understand what to expect in terms of workload and deadlines and class structure. It's really different from probably what they've been experiencing up to now. And this might involve discussing typical college schedules and maybe the grading system and academic expectations.
Yeah, and this is where I really felt like we had a competitive edge because of homeschooling. Our kids had already taken like a variety of classes over the years from all kinds of different teachers and other moms and, our and us.
Yeah, and dual
And
enrollment, like we
right.
mentioned. Yeah.
And they seem to be much better equipped for these different class formats and structures than some of their traditional schooled counterparts. I know for especially for my son, like a lot of his friends, their only experience ever having an online class was during COVID.
Right. And, to be honest, high school setting, public high school and university, it's a completely different educational environment. And
Yeah.
so these kids really are just blindsided sometimes
Yeah,
when they
they're
get here.
they're
So.
thrown in there.
But luckily, we have the ability to give our children all kinds of experiences and all kinds of educational outlets. So that's a really big advantage of homeschooling. But during COVID, my kids hated online school, though. And still to this day, they refuse to do any online courses, both of them. I definitely recommend having plenty of communication with your child about their schedules and timelines, even though they're young adults and may already be responsible for managing their communications and their assignments. Let them know that you're there to help them and whatever they need. It's up to them what information they want to share with you. And many colleges, their computer systems have a separate portal just for parents that your student can choose to give you access to, which often includes financial information or grades. But really, they're adults at this point, and they don't have to.
No, they don't. And I know some parents are like, well, if I'm paying for it, like I get to see all their grades and blah, blah, blah. I mean, great, sure. But also, try and give them that independence.
Yeah.
Unless they're totally messing it up,
Yeah.
try and be trusting. This is part of growing up, is
Right.
managing all of that.
It really is. You need to give them their own autonomy. It's just so important. And hopefully by their senior year, they already have full control or most control of everything that they're doing academically. So
Right.
hopefully you've already set them up with these skills.
Yes. So number 2 is develop study and time management skills. College often requires more independent studying and time management compared to homeschooling. So work together to create a study schedule and explore time management techniques that work best for them in high school so that they're kind of ready for those once they get to college. And remember, as always, the system that works best for you might not be the one that works best for them. Like, it's totally chaotic to me that my kids have to like listen to music loud or have a YouTube video going like
That
while
blows
they're
me away.
while they're like studying. But I mean that they've grown up like this. This is their like I'm sure it annoyed us, our parents, the way that we did it,
Yeah.
But that's their method. And it's really, really important that students learn to forge their own path and methods and find what works best for them.
Oh, absolutely. We actually have a great episode on this. And our episode, I think it's 58, and I think I titled it Time Management, Stress Organization and Study Skills or something like that. And it was the last of our high school series, which is the 12th in the 12 episodes. And it's just chock full of information about homeschooling in high school. And this particular episode has a lot of great advice on how to teach those essential executive function skills while still in high school, which is when they need to really hone in those skills. It has several great book recommendations that we found that really helped us.
All kinds of good information.
Yeah.
So, just a reminder that this is a weekly episode. We drop one every Thursday morning just for you. And if you have any additional ideas or comments, please come and comment on our Facebook page, on the episode thread, or send us an email at info@btdthomeschool.com. We'd really love to hear from you.
We really would. We've been getting some really great feedback, so keep it coming. So moving on to this topic on number 3. So you really want to encourage socialization. And they always talk about this with homeschoolers.
right.
It's really typically not a problem. You should
The S word.
the S word. You should check out our socialization episode. But socializing in college can be intimidating for anyone, even somebody who's as socialized as our kids.
Yeah, it's
So
a completely new experience.
it really is. So encourage your child to participate in clubs, organizations, and social events so they can meet new people and build a support network. This is the hardest part of college, especially if you're headed off solo and don't have a network of friends going already. Most colleges do a freshman orientation week where you can go. Sometimes they'll pair you up with a senior or a upper level student to kind of show you around and familiarize them with the campus and all the social activities. Make sure your child goes to this. It can really help with the anxiety when classes finally do start if they've already connected with someone.
Yeah, and oftentimes there's like parent sessions too for orientation, or a separate parent orientation, which I highly recommend you do those. Don't skip those. And this is also where I did some legwork to help my kids at college, which ended up being like a really great way to also learn about their campus and the town and know what kinds of things and resources were there so that I could offer up that help and that information up when it was needed. So I made a book, and I totally copied this. This was not my idea. I copied it off another parent on the college board. But I made a book that had like an area map and like campus map, shops and restaurants nearby, school resources like how to take the bus, studying, counseling, support groups, clubs and organizations that I thought that they might be interested in. And there's so many, so many. But I put this all together as a book, and I like sent it to school with them. And like I posted it on the forum to give it once I did it, because my kids did find it helpful. And people all were like, "Oh, can I buy that book from you?" I'm like, "No, go and do the book yourself. That's how you learn about the school too." But anyway, yeah, there's so many opportunities to meet people. Like I encourage my kids to join all the things and then pair back to the things that they actually really like. You know, we talk about that with younger homeschoolers too. Join all the things. If you move to a new town or do something like that, join everything and then pair it back. My book also included like medical information, insurance card, legal documents, which we're going to talk about later in this episode too.
The next thing you really want to do is utilize all those college resources. Familiarize yourself and have your child familiarize themselves with the resources available on campus. There's tutoring services or academic advisors and counseling centers. Knowing where to turn for help can ease the transition and support academic success.
And colleges have so many cool resources.
So many.
Like even our local community college has a math lab and a writing lab and a language lab where you can get free tutoring. Like you can just show up and do it. And bonus, these things are usually totally free.
Right. And having a practice space for musicians or other performing arts students is typically offered on these campuses also.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be part of that department. You just have to look for the information. And after graduation, your college probably has an internship program and job placement program of some sort. So tapping into your alumni group is smart. Even finding out if your local area has one, even if your kids went far away.
Yeah, we have a whole, my son went to Colorado State, but we have a whole Texas Ram Colorado State page, and we met up locally here before school started and went bowling.
I love
Like with
that.
our little Texas Rams. We've also like met up when we're up there for like parents weekend. Like they'll usually rent like a tent, you know, a tailgate and stuff. So it's really awesome. Lots of opportunities. I also recommend joining the parent group for your university. And sometimes they can be a crapshoot, you know, like any online forum is. But I've gotten lots of great info from ours, from like local weather, you know, oh, hey, it's snowing. And, you know, we like, oh, what's it really look like there? Because you don't always get a text back from your kid.
No, you don't always.
Local weather, good places to eat, or service recommendations from locals. You know, where do I go to get my kid's car fixed in out of town? At my daughter's school, there's also a local mom that will help with things like airport pickups or like birthday surprises. She's so
Oh,
sweet.
I love that.
I know, it makes me want to join our local like UTD college forum and help other people's kids out.
I love that.
Yeah.
The next thing, you really want to make sure that your student practices self-advocacy. And this is probably something you've been doing all along, but definitely before they head off to college. You want to teach your child how to advocate for themselves. It's so important, and especially in a college setting. And this includes asking questions, speaking up to ask for clarification from their professor when they maybe don't understand something, and also advocating for their needs. And this might be for things like maybe an accommodation for a learning difference. So make sure to empower them to become a self-advocate. It's just so crucial for their success and growth during the college years, but it really can be kind of hard to master for some people.
Still kind of hard for
Yeah.
me sometimes.
Speak up for yourself, Nicole.
Right, right. Do it. Yeah, encourage them to actively engage with professors and advisors and campus resources to address like academic challenges or seek support or just, pursue opportunities that are aligned with their goals. My kids really appreciate the relationships that they've built with some of their professors and advisors. Encourage them to communicate with professors from the get-go. Mine love sending like an intro message at the beginning of the semester. And then if they enjoy the class too, let that professor know. That's valuable information for them. My son's favorite professor also led to a second major. Like he liked the class so much that he wanted to take more. And then his advisor was like, hey, by the way, you're like 1 credit short of a dual degree. So, and also they will tell you always go to the non-mandatory office hours or
Oh, yeah.
any kind of non-mandatory study session. My kids were often like the only kids to do this. And it really like, it puts a name to your face and you're not a number in the class. Like your professor actually has a relationship with you.
Oh, yeah.
So
I've
that's great.
always encouraged my children beginning in the local community college, taking dual enrollment classes, to reach out to their professors, go to those after hour meetups. And my kids are always shocked that they are the only ones in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And that's sometimes the difference between like a B plus and an A minus.
oh, yeah, I guarantee you the professor will remember them, especially when that grade is on the cusp like that.
Yep.
And just remember that it's not always just about the grade. My children genuinely enjoy chatting and getting to know their professors. What a homeschooler thing to do, right?
Yep.
It really is. I mean, really, that's one of the best things about homeschooling is that our kids learn to relate to people of all walks of life. Having our kids out in the real world and engaging in real life experiences with our community has taught them to encourage and not shy away from these kinds of exchanges.
Yeah, and it's important to know that self-advocacy fosters a sense of confidence and resilience. Remind your kids that advocating for themselves is not a sign of weakness, but it's really a demonstration of strength and self-awareness. And this is really important because you're preparing them not only for academic success, but for lifelong independence and self-empowerment.
Yeah, for sure. After you finish this episode, head on over to our website for show notes, references, and pictures of everything that we're discussing today. You can also join us on Facebook and Instagram for more content and give us a thumbs up. You can also join our Homeschool Freebies Facebook group for helpful resources and tips. Over the years, we found so many free resources all over the place, and we have used them in our homeschool and love them, and we are just out there sharing all this stuff with you. So join us. So moving on to number 6, you want to stay connected. Be sure to keep lines of communication open between you and your child, especially during the first semester when they're away. Regular check-ins can provide opportunities to address any challenges or concerns that may arise. I always love to send care packages, or since my daughter's just an hour away, sometimes I just meet her halfway for lunch and bring her a little something, a little gift or something.
Yeah, that's sweet. Mine went far away, so that was not an option for me, but we talked a lot. Some parents find it really important to lay out that expectation for communication beforehand. I talked with my kids about how often I would communicate with them and like my minimum expectations for them. Like really I wanted to hear from them a lot. But I really at a minimum wanted to hear from them like once a week, even if it was just like a casual funny meme or like proof of life photo or something. I promised I would not bother them incessantly, and honestly, instead they all call me every day anyway.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, that's not so much for me. My daughter turned off Life 360 as soon as she moved into her dorm. And it's tough because I could have laid down the law and I could have demanded that she communicated with me, but I know my daughter and I know that she really, really needed her autonomy and her space from me. So I really painstakingly let it go.
It's hard.
And thankfully, as she has gotten older, she is voluntarily spending more and more time with me. She just spent last weekend with me soldering all Saturday night. She installed a brand new floating stereo screen in my car.
Nice.
Which was really kind of funny because she goes, Mom, do you have a solder gun? And I'm like, honey, I taught you to solder. I have like 3 solder guns. What do you? She goes, I know, but you always get rid of stuff. But anyway, thank you, Riley. Thank you so much for my stereo. I love it. But anyway, I feel like giving her the space that she needed ultimately worked out as our relationship evolved. But I did spend many stressful nights worrying. It was awful. The transition can be really hard. Parenting is no joke, and it's not for the weak. Ultimately, you have to know your own child and your own comfort zone. Everyone has a different parenting style and needs to do what works right for them and their relationship with this new adult. What's the old saying? Parenting young children is physically exhausting, and parenting older children is mentally exhausting.
Oh gosh, for
So
sure,
exhausting.
for sure. So going back to Life 360, we use that for our whole family, and occasionally there have been times when the kids want to turn it off, and so I just let them until they call me to ask me for money.
Oh, yeah,
And
they'll
then
do
I'm
that.
like, oh, sure, I'm happy to send you that $50 that you needed. Go ahead and turn your Life 360 back on.
Yeah.
So that's my trick. But, you know, sometimes when they're irritated with that, I explain to them that it's saved them actually a ton of communication from me that they probably would have been annoyed with. Like, I mean, and I made it a point, like, not to question their whereabouts. We really more use it to, you know, look and like make sure they're not in class or driving, like when I want to call them, things like that. And it does give me peace of mind when they're on long drives back home from school and, you know, all of that. And I just saw a TikTok the other day that is about like a mom was at a drive-through at a restaurant and her kids all tracked her on Life 360. They were like, "Can you bring me this? Can you bring me that?" And that is true in our house. Like we all know that Jillian is the one that tracks all of us. Like she's always looking at that. It's really funny.
Yeah, that's not going to be turned back on, Riley. She's so independent. She pays for her own way. She works full time.
Yeah, she's got her own money, so you can't use my money hack.
Yeah, I can't use the money hack, but well, I trust her, and she's actually now responding to all my texts
Oh,
and my phone
good.
calls, so I'm thrilled. So I held out. It
Yeah.
was it was tough.
It worked. Well, that kind of goes with number 7 is emphasizing independence and responsibility. Encourage your child to take ownership of their education and all of their responsibilities. College offers a greater degree of freedom and autonomy. That's sometimes hard for kids to deal with if that's the first time that they've really like had that kind of thrown all 100% in their lap. But it's important for them to develop skills in decision making, problem solving, and accountability.
And also, as far as independence, I would really suggest encouraging them to actively engage with their coursework, to seek out resources and support whenever they're needed, to make sure that they take initiative in pursuing their passions and their interests. It's okay to help them with this, but what you really want to do is to give them the skills to help themselves to figure things out.
Right. And as a child heads off to college, establishing power of attorney and other essential legal documents might be important in ensuring their well-being and their autonomy, especially in unforeseen circumstances. So while we want them to be completely independent, like we also, you know, don't want them in the hospital by themselves, like trying to navigate something like that. So power of attorney grants a designated individual the authority to make legal and financial decisions on behalf of the student should they become incapacitated or unable to act, which, you know, we hope this doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. And turning 18 automatically like shuts off a bunch of stuff that
Right.
you previously were the decision maker for and that your kid probably still wants you to sometimes be.
Additionally, documents as like healthcare proxy and living will outline their medical preferences and designate someone to make medical decisions on their behalf. So,
Yeah, as they become adults, they now need to be the ones signing things like HIPAA authorizations and, you know, allowing their healthcare providers to share medical information with specific individuals, you know, you or if they don't want to share specific things with you, that's fine too.
right. So if you want or need to be involved in things like this, these legal safeguards not only provide peace of mind for both them and you, but it also teaches them to navigate complex legal and medical situations with clarity and support, even if they are far from home.
Yeah, and we did this really quickly and easily and inexpensively through Mama Bear Legal Docs. I had seen information on that and kind of researched it, and it was super easy. And this was really important to us because, like I said, both of my kids were kind of COVID graduates, you know, 2020 and 2021, and they were going to college like out of state and far away, and I just really wanted them to be prepared. So I'm dropping a link because I do have a like a coupon code for Mama Bear legal forms if you want to use those. They were so easy. We did them at home, we printed them out, and then when we got to the state where they were going to school, we just popped by like a FedEx and had them notarized real quick, and then I stuck a copy in that book that I made.
Right.
So they can find them, and then I kept a copy for me.
Nice. Well, that's a great idea. So hopefully we've given you some helpful ideas for transitioning to college. By focusing on these key areas, you can support your teenager in making a successful transition and thriving as an independent thinker and a lifelong learner.
We love lifelong learners.
We do.
And remember, homeschooled kids bring a unique set of skills and perspectives to the college experience. It's been enriched by their independent learning and diverse backgrounds all along. So while challenges may come up, your child has the resilience and the adaptability to do great things. And as they start this new chapter, celebrate their achievements, like support their growth, appreciate all these unique contributions that they bring to higher education. They're going to do awesome.
They are. Well, thanks for joining us, and be sure to tune in next time for episode 67. We're going to be talking about homesteading homeschool in the suburbs. And homeschooling isn't necessarily where you live, it's how you live. And the best part is you can get your kids involved.
See you next episode.
See you next time.
Cheers!
Be sure to check us out on our website at btdthomeschool.com, as in been there, done that, btdthomeschool.com. You can join our mailing list and get news and updates on future podcasts. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at the BTDT Been There, Done That Homeschool Podcast.